Good morning. You're listening to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is an old friend, Dave Foster, who's recently retired. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be on your program. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, actually, a little bit of a role reversal here. I'm interviewing you, and you've been interviewing people for the last 40 years. So let's go through your background. Your first communications role really in the flooring business was in your mid-40s, and you became the PR person for the Carpet and Rug Institute. And you went on to go with the Atlanta Merchandise Mart, started a PR firm, then got onto Floor Radio, which was an AM station that broadcast right around there in Dalton. Then started working with Frank O'Neill and developed Floor Daily. And that's when I stepped in and purchased Floor Daily, and you and I were partners for a while. And then you moved on to another communications company and started Talk Floor. Does that pretty well cover it?
That's pretty much it. That was it in about 40 years.
First thing to talk about, this retirement of you dialing back just happened a few weeks ago, right?
Oh, yeah, it just happened, and I'm still in the process of getting used to it.
And you don't mind me saying you're very keen at your age of 81. You do a great job. You have done some wonderful interviews. Let's talk about some of the highlights of your career. Tell us what some of the funnest things you did were.
In essence, this job has taken me all over the world, for that matter. One of my favorite interviews was when I went to Valinga in Viken, Sweden, and interviewed Darko Profond. I don't know if you've met him or ever interviewed him, but he is one creative guy, and he invited a slew of people out there, including me. I had the opportunity on that visit to interview him, and it was fascinating. It was one of the better interviews I think I've ever done, only because the subject was outstanding.
How many years ago was that?
That was probably 15 to 20 years ago.
All right. So that was after you and I were together 17 years ago. So it was after that.
It was after that, yeah.
Let's lean back to earlier, CRI. Can you imagine what that organization was like when you were in charge of PR? It was a powerful entity.
It really was. And the convention, when I joined, was the biggest event in this industry, really. Of course, this was before the consolidation of the carpet industry, so there were a lot more players. In fact,
right.
About the time that I launched the first website and really got on the radio was when the consolidation really started, which was a great boost for my radio program and for the internet at that point, really. Of course, it was a total different situation back then. This was well before surfaces. And most of the carpet that was sold went through distribution. So rather than have a single trade show like we've had for the last, 30 years, there were 5 markets around the country: Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Dallas, and San Francisco. And everybody would go to all of these. It was really pretty interesting. Of course, that's changed, and the last one really surviving of those markets was Atlanta, and that's when surfaces began on the West Coast. Big change.
One of the things that you've done differently, and you continue to evolve, and I mention this now thinking of what's going on with TikTok. My format with my interviews, I've stayed with audio, and you continued to evolve and went on into video, and you had to completely learn some new skill sets on editing and things like that, right?
Exactly right. And bumbling along, really, I had no background in filming or editing or anything. But again, I figured if they can do it, I can do it. And I did. And not that I didn't make a number of mistakes along the way. And also at that point, I would go to all the trade shows and many of the meetings each year, and I'd have to drag this video equipment along with me. Whereas now, you can get away with a cell phone, and you really don't need all the equipment that I had. But I guess it kept me young and vigorous, wagging all that stuff around airports and everything.
Yeah, I remember when we were partners for, a year or two, that you got up every morning and got on the treadmill. You've always made exercise a big part of your day.
Oh, yeah, and I still do, for that matter. I'd been a runner for years and years and years, and, I stopped that, but I do a lot of other things instead, including walking.
Yeah.
That's just always been a part. And I guess, I don't know, had I not done all that, I don't know if I could carried all that equipment all over the place.
You mentioned the Valinga interview as being one of your fondest, and you also had a good time with Lou Migliore, right?
Oh yeah, I started with Lou really from the very beginning when I was just on the radio, and Lou would be in some place out in the rain on a payphone, and I would interview him, and then of course that morphed into doing video with him. But Lou had been with me from the very beginning, talking about various problems he's run across out in the industry. Lou is always a lot of fun, and we would have a lot of fun.
You know, one of the things that I had my hat off to you, even though most people know we were partners and then became competitors, but your journalistic integrity is fantastic. Again, my hat's off to you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I can really say the same to you. I think that's really important, that people trust you and know what you say is what happened. And I think that's what we are, is what we do.
So most people who know you married. So what's next with Dave Foster after retiring from this industry?
Well, that's a good question. I'm still, I haven't been retired all that long at this point in time.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking at various options here, and I haven't really decided yet. I'll let you know.
All right, Dave, but thanks for spending time with me and our listeners. Again, hats off to you for all the great interviews you've done. Been talking to Dave Foster, former owner of Talk Floor and Floor Radio, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.